everybody like, oh, you got to, cut all the gluten out, and it's, a common food allergy. But we don't really address dairy, which is actually a more common allergen than gluten is.
Welcome to Get Pregnant Naturally, where functional medicine and natural fertility solutions will help you get pregnant and have your baby. Great. So hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Clark, and my mission is to inspire, motivate, and empower you. And most of all, I want you to wake up. So with functional medicine, we can discover what causes infertility and eventually reverse this condition. So today I'm welcoming Maria Emmerich to the podcast, and we're digging into the ketogenic diet and how it can help balance hormones and improve fertility. I recently connected with Maria and love that her new cookbook has dairy-free keto recipes. So I'll just give you a little bit of a bio about Maria. So Maria Emmerich is a wellness expert in nutrition and exercise physiology. She shares a passion for helping others reach their goals of optimum health. She struggled with her weight throughout childhood and decided enough was enough. She decided to study health and wellness so she could help others stop wasting their time being discouraged with their outward appearance and not feeling their best mentally. Maria understands the connection between food and how it makes us feel on the inside and out. She is an international best-selling author of several books, including Quick and Easy Ketogenic Cooking, The 30-Day Ketogenic Cleanse, and she's also authored 8 other books, including several cookbooks and 3 nutritional guidebooks, including the best-selling book Keto. And her new cookbook, Easy Dairy-Free Ketogenic Recipes, just came out in January 2018. And you can visit Maria at her website at mindbodyhealth.com. So welcome, Maria, to the podcast.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm so honored to be here. Yeah. It's a very near and dear topic to me.
Awesome. Yeah. Excited to have you. So yeah, as you said, that the near and dear topic. So really, I find most people have their own story as to how they came to work in this field. So maybe share with us how you came to this field.
Awesome. Well, yeah, when I was about 16 years old, I went to the doctor because at 16, I wasn't doing well, and I left with an acid blocker. I left with an antidepressant, a prescription for antidepressant, and I was told I had PCOS, which many of you may know is polycystic ovarian syndrome, that it's kind of like a diabetes that affects fertility. But I was told that that was just my fate. I could do nothing to change it. My doctor said that they got acid reflux when they drank water, and it was totally normal. However, that same week, this was fate. I went to the vet because my beautiful golden retriever, Tiva, was losing patches of her hair. And the first question the veterinarian asked me was, what are you feeding her? And sure enough, we changed her diet. We went home and changed my diet too, and her beautiful hair grew back. My body totally changed. I started healing, and I decided right then and there, I want to help people not put a Band-Aid on their problems, but let food be thy medicine, right? And I went to college for nutrition and exercise physiology because I love to be active. I really do. I was just always the really heavy athlete in school, and I feel better now that I'm almost in my 40s, and I feel better every day now than I did when I was a teenager, and it just seems so opposite of what it should be, and that's where my passion comes from.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So so diagnosed with PCOS then when you were 16, and then then just overcame that with food? Was that insulin?
Yeah.
PCOS or?
Totally. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It was, PCOS is caused by, high androgens. And what are high androgens caused by? Carbohydrates, sugar, and caffeine. So when I cut those out of my life, I finally healed. It took me a long time, very long time, especially, being a teenager. I would be really good during the week, but I would cheat during the weekends and wake up Monday morning and I would just hate myself. And that's why when I encourage people, it's not out of judgment when I'm harsh. It is out of love, because even though I know that my children were meant for me, they are adopted. Mm-hmm. They are the apple of my eye. I'm going to tear up just talking about them because I just love them so much. And they really were meant to be for me. However, I messed with my diet for so long, like I said, cheating on the weekends, that I know that affected me long term. And so when I talk to women that are craving children and would do anything for them, when I guide them, it's not out of judgment, it's out of love.
Yeah. So for you, kind of, yeah, you said that was cheating on the weekend part of it, sort of then
Yeah.
affected your health, and then I guess
And
that's
it just kept me craving sugar. I would finally feel great on Friday and then blow it. And yeah, it's just kind of like a up and down thing.
Okay, great. So yeah, maybe for people that don't know what what the ketogenic diet is, if you could explain it to us. Obviously it's paleo was trending for a while, and now
Yeah.
when you look at Amazon, all the new cookbooks coming out, woo, ketogenic is right down the list, right? So, and you've been doing this for years. So how, maybe explain it to us and give us the basics.
Absolutely. I kind of say that it's paleo on steroids because the way I do keto with my clients, it's dairy free. So you might read a lot of things with, heavy cream and butter and whey protein and things like that online. But when I work with someone with fertility issues, it's a dairy free keto. So that's paleo, but just taking it to the next step, because to me, even spaghetti squash is too high in carbohydrates. But if you think about carrots and potatoes and sweet potatoes and honey and coconut sugar, all of those things are going to really impact your blood sugar. And so if we step back and eliminate all of those carbohydrates, ketogenic diet is a very low carbohydrate diet. You want to hit your protein goal so you keep your muscle mass up, and then you eat fat to satiety. It would depend on what your goals are, whether it be weight loss or maintenance or whatnot. But using fat as a lever, there's a lot of misinformation out there online saying that a ketogenic is a high fat diet. Well, it is. If your body is high fat, you want to use that for your 80% fat diet. Does that make sense? So it's not necessarily that you have to eat 80% fat, but that 80% fat will come from your own personal body fat if you, in fact, allow it to. It's all about oxidative priority and getting into the fat flux that way. But saturated fats and cholesterol is great for making healthy hormones. So if you are low in progesterone, which I see a lot with females, even if they're in their teens, where you can't sleep at night, maybe you have a little anxiety, cholesterol is what makes healthy hormones. So that's why the ketogenic diet is fantastic for healing the body, getting your hormones balanced.
Great. Yeah. And so, and you talked about, so those, let me circle back to the carb side of it again. So, spaghetti squash, like you said, so some of these things that you think are healthy on the keto, you don't recommend sort of these higher carbs.
No, my whole family eats this way, and we joke that we're carnivores. We are pretty much zero carbers. Yeah, we'll have a little bit of vegetables here and there, but looking into the actual where nutrients come from, we use vegetables more for color or texture. The nutrients are so much more dense in animal proteins, such as, grass-fed beef or eggs or things like that. So you don't have to worry that you're not getting the nutrients from something like a sweet potato, because I can show you any ketogenic food that has that blows sweet potatoes or any vegetable out of the water by far. Even kale, beef liver, twice as much vitamins and nutrients as even kale would be. And, kale's found to be this, superfood.
That's right. Why don't we dig into some of the health benefits around what you see for, I guess, in PCOS or specifically fertility, how keto can help?
Oh, like I was saying with PCOS, those high androgens that, you want a certain amount, but when they get in excess, that's when you get that dark facial hair, acne, changes in menstrual cycle. Those androgens are getting too high. What's causing those high androgens? Excess carbohydrates, sugar, and caffeine. And so when we cut those out, that's when people really start to heal and have the benefits of those androgens getting better. certain supplements can heal too, but again, cutting all carbohydrates, the sugars, and the caffeine, I'm talking about green tea and all of that, is really going to be beneficial. And that's why, I even try to, in my books, explain why it's important to cut caffeine out of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I talk about it in my book as well, where it's got a 10-day withdrawal from pop or soda and chocolate and like all those things that have caffeine in it. And,
Yeah.
yeah, energy drinks. So so for PCOS, taking out so excess carbs, sugar, caffeine, and now and we talked about this with the dairy free thing. So why specifically? I agree. I recommend for people that are struggling with fertility to at least go dairy free and gluten free for 60 days. So why have you modified that to add the dairy free component to keto?
And you may be someone that doesn't need to go dairy free, but I will say that for 50% of people, it's really a big deal. We poo-poo gluten on the ketogenic diet, right? Like everybody oh, you got to, cut all the gluten out, and it's, a common food allergy. But we don't really address dairy, which is actually a more common allergen than gluten is. But people don't want to give up their, cheese. I mean, I'm from Wisconsin, so it's like blasphemy to say this.
Yeah, cheese.
And, there's nothing like butter. I get it. But knowing how bad and what women go through for fertility, if you do in fact have a dairy allergy, it could be causing miscarriages, and you aren't sure why it's going on. But why not, just like you said, cut it out for whatever your goal is, 60 days or whatnot. I guarantee you're gonna feel better. And I get it. I love food. I will always love food. I mean, I grew up really heavy and eating a lot of junk. I love that creamy texture of cheese and all of that. So I spent a lot of time recreating some of those textures, so you don't even know that they're dairy free. Like, I don't want to live off of kale and dry chicken.
No.
I get that. Nobody does. And so, making these creamy alternatives without weird ingredients. It's just a little technique that you can use just to make food taste delicious. That's really important to me, because I don't want to live off of icky food. I want to enjoy life and textures in food.
Yeah, because I'm dairy free, gluten free, and corn free. And people say, "Well, what do you eat?" And I'm like, I eat amazing. I have delicious food. I'm like, I feel bad for people that are eating a plate full of brown stuff. Like it's beautiful colors and the ice cream. We can talk about that later. But
Totally.
there's lots of really good options to satisfy.
I know.
Yeah.
I used to eat Yoplait yogurt when I was younger, thinking it was a good diet food.
Yes.
And when I look at that, I know that there's more sugar in that than a Kit Kat bar. And I was like, man, I wish I would have eaten a Kit Kat.
I know. Yeah, I did the same thing. Every day after lunch, I'd have my yogurt, my little Yoplait yogurt. And I'm like, oh my goodness, all the sugar in there.
We are kindred spirits.
Yes. Maybe talk a little bit about the intermittent fasting part of it.
That is something that was really difficult for me at first. And I think a lot of it had to do out of habit, because I grew up on bed night snacks. My mom was a wonderful woman, but I swear she thought we were going to fade away if we didn't eat all the time. And realizing that I wasn't really hungry. It was my mind telling me that we need to eat every 2 to 3 hours. But knowing that if you really do have some insulin resistance going on, intermittent fasting is awesome for healing that. And what's funny is I'm such a sensitive woman that I try not to look at Amazon reviews or anything like that. My husband said, "You got the funniest bad review." I was like, "Don't tell me, I don't want to know." He's like, "No, really, it's funny." They said, "I hate this diet. I'm always full." And we laughed, because that's the point. It's very satiating, where you are not plagued by food all the time. I remember at 11 a.m. I would be hangry and at work not wanting to talk to anybody because I was looking for my next meal. But now there's no way I could accomplish what I do now if I were eating every 2 to 3 hours. It's just so freeing to not be plagued by hunger or sugar cravings anymore. And that's why it's great for eating disorders and things like that, because you don't reach towards those binge foods or whatever it is. And intermittent fasting is great for controlling blood sugar. You can have insulin resistance and diabetes without being overweight. It's all about how stuffed your fat cells are. So, you see plenty of people that are skinny and diabetic. It's known as the Asian paradox, where they eat a ton of white rice and aren't heavy, but they do have diabetes. And what's going on is they have less fat stores than someone who is heavy. Those fat stores are stuffed full. So I had a diabetic that I work with ongoing, and she said, Maria, I wish I would gain weight when I cheated, because we're a vain society, and since I don't gain weight when I cheat, it's really hard for me to stay on track. But she was having stroke. She was 32 when she had her first stroke, right after she had her baby. And she was like, I need to get healthy for my daughter. But, she wasn't gaining any weight when she would cheat. And she almost wished she would, because that would keep her in line. Where as a society, we judge someone for being very heavy, but someone could be thin and look really healthy and not be very unhealthy.
Exactly. Yeah. And just kind of circle back to the intermittent fasting. People don't know what that is. Could you just kind of explain what that is for us?
Absolutely. Intermittent fasting is it sounds extreme, but it is not. It comes actually pretty easily with a ketogenic diet, because you are always, hunger will happen, but it's no longer being hangry where you just can't handle it. But it's shortening that window of eating. So instead of eating right away when you wake up and eating a midnight snack, you shorten that window. And what's interesting is the younger you are, the fasting window becomes shorter. So babies are intermittent fasting. It's because they're actually getting into ketosis in a smaller window of time. And as we age, toddlers, they get into keto, with their eating schedule and stuff. As we get age, that window gets bigger. And so what happens is you'd want to shorten that window of eating. So maybe you don't get hungry until maybe 10 a.m. And so you break your fast at 10 a.m. and you have another meal maybe at 3 or 4 p.m. and you close the window and the kitchen is closed, eating is done. Some people, like I'm up early, so that would be my window of eating, but I'm up really early. If you don't get up until 8 a.m., maybe you don't eat until noon, you have your second meal at 5 p.m., the kitchen is closed, and that's how that would work.
So it's really kind of listening to your body in there.
It is, and it gets much easier as you adventure into the ketogenic diet and you get into ketosis. It's not something that I would pressure your body into right away if you're not ready for it. But once you do get actually keto adapted, which might take a month or two, then that fasting window gets really easy to shorten. And this is not anything new. If you think about the greats of our history, whatever religion you are, Gandhi, Jesus, even Benjamin Franklin, they all talked about fasting and closing that window. A lot of people think of Buddha as this really fat statue man. He, the statue is not what Buddha looked like. He was actually a very fit man. And he was a very affluent man, but he wanted to find enlightenment. And so he gave away everything he had and was very, very poor and fasted for so many days that he almost died. His enlightenment came when he found a middle ground, not only with things that he had in his life, but with fasting. This enlightenment came when he would fast and only eat for, his window was, I think, an 8-hour window, but 6 hour, 8 hour, whatever it is. His enlightenment came when you shorten that window of time of eating, so your body can focus on healing other parts of your body rather than focusing on digesting food all the time. If you're eating all the time, whether it be bulletproof coffee, that is not fasting, it's digesting that. Whatever it is, when you go to a water fast only, your body can focus on healing damaged cells. And this is where an interesting topic of people suffering from cancer, their appetite, or someone who is suffering from any illness, their appetite is usually gone. And that is what we think is because your body is trying to get into apoptosis, where it's purging bad cells and rebuilding new cells. That can only happen if your body's not actually digesting food anymore.
So maybe kind of, if you could maybe just talk a little bit about, there's some criticism about the intermittent fasting and that may not be good for hormones or for fertility. What's your take on that?
I don't know where the double blind studies are on that. I think it's
Okay.
people that don't want to do it, but I've never seen actual good double blind studies on that. I think that people really enjoy eating. And so they're, it's, yeah, in my N=1, having fantastic results with not only healing insulin resistance and PCOS with again, I'm not asking people to fast for 5, 10, 30 days.
Yeah.
This is just shortening the window so your cells can actually heal. Works fantastic for fertility. I will say that cholesterol makes healthy hormones. So focusing on weight loss, that's not a goal right now. If fertility is really what you want to do, making sure you're eating enough calories and cholesterol to get those healthy hormones in balance is important, but also shortening the window so the cells can heal. It's a fine balance. So I'm not saying extended fasting is what you want to do right now. I will say that intermittent fasting is natural and it's not anything extreme.
Kind of that. So if you wake up at 8, you would eat at 10, then take a little break, eat at 3 or 4, and then you say, kitchen closed around 5. So it's not just constant snacking all day long. Get these breaks in between the meal.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I don't think that's anything extreme at all.
And what about the artificial sweeteners? So like too much monk fruit or some of those sweeteners?
Well, I don't consider those artificial. They're natural. I call them maybe alternative sweeteners. But when I say, no, I totally get that. I don't mean to be harsh, but like artificial, I think of as aspartame or sucralose, those things that are man-made, I would totally cut out. When it comes to some sort of stevia, you have to be a very good detective, because if you buy stevia in the raw at the store, it's going to have another word called maltodextrin added to it. Maltodextrin is a corn derivative, as you know, and sugar has a glycemic index of 52. Maltodextrin has a glycemic index of 110. So even though it says that it's sugar-free, there's other foods that are going to cause more of a blood sugar spike. And you'll find that in Splenda also, or the stevia and the raw. Sometimes monk fruit will have that in there. So you have to make sure that you're getting a good quality product, preferably organic. But these things that I actually, don't have a problem with at all, they come from nature, whether it be a plant, something of that sort, erythritol, making sure, it comes from fermented vegetables, that type of stuff. But for me to be able to stay on this diet, I allow myself to have a treat. When I didn't, that's when I would cheat on the weekends. But being able to have some ice cream every day, or a flourless torte, something like that, I don't feel like this is a diet. It is a lifestyle for me. I have a 7 and an 8-year-old that eat this way, and they're bombarded with this colorful food at the grocery store, or the stuff that their friends are eating. And when they say, "Mommy, can we make keto cupcakes?" I say, absolutely. I will drop everything, because food is like, when you think of Valentine's Day or Christmas or birthdays, your mind goes a little bit towards food, right?
Pleasure.
And it is pleasure. And I feel that for me to be able to call this a lifestyle, I love being able to make them birthday cakes, or like you mentioned, keto ice cream. That is my dessert of choice. And I don't feel that if you use the proper ingredients, you will do just great.
And so what kind of sweeteners would you use then? What do you like?
I usually use something called Swerve, which is a mixture of basically erythritol and a little bit of stevia. You could use just pure stevia if you want to. Sometimes that's too bitter. I like stevia glycerite. That is a very thick, like stevia, that almost looks like honey. And with stevia, when I say that, a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah.
But stevia glycerite is a non-bitter type of stevia. You can find this on online. That's where I usually get it. I even had it mailed to me here, and I'm in Hawaii right now. And that's what we use to sweeten our stuff.
Yeah, because sweet stevia is about 300 times sweeter than sugar. and it can have that really bitter aftertaste, which I'm not too fond of it. But,
right.
so,
And that's where that stevia glycerate,
kind of,
you need a little bit more than what you would use with a liquid stevia, but it's delicious.
and so Swerve. So how do you spell that?
Swerve. And that's like an actual product or company that does a great job where it doesn't have, like a cooling effect on the palate, but it's really tasty. A little bit goes a long way. And as you eat more keto, you'll notice you'll need less and less sweetener in your products because your palate is changing. If you're going from a standard American diet, you're probably going to need a little more, but as you eat more keto, you'll notice your palate, other things start to taste sweet that probably didn't before. But we were just blinded by all the sugar. Like I grew up on Prego marinara sauce. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Stuff?
Same here.
Okay. First of all, it never goes bad in the fridge. I remember when I made my marinara and I put it in my homemade stuff and I kept it in the fridge. Oh my gosh, after 3 days, mold was growing on it. And I was like, what? The stuff I grew up on never did that. But there's a lot of sugar in that marinara sauce, to the point where when I work with, I had a client from Italy that was visiting the United States. And they're like, I cannot wait to go back to Italy because the pasta sauce is so sweet here, even though they were putting it on zoodles and stuff. But they couldn't believe how sweet it was. I was like, I know, we put sugar in everything.
Yeah, it's amazing when you start being that food detective and looking at your labels going, oh, wait, sugar and ketchup, sugar and all these things that you don't even
but it's in mustard now. Mustard should not have sugar in it. And I was at Trader Joe's, which is kind of a health food store here. Do you have that in Canada?
No, we don't, but no. I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the so-called health food store down here. And their mustard has sugar. I was like, oh boy.
So as far as sort of the foods you can eat and not eat, is there just like a basic thing you can tell us for keto? I know some of it is a little bit long, but I don't know if you're able to.
Oh, totally. I mean, instead of focusing, first of all, I want a positive mindset. Instead of focusing on the things that you can't have, like bread or pasta and stuff, focus on all the things that you thought were bad, which are delicious. Like, I love filling my slow cooker with some short ribs. And then when I come home, it's just absolutely delicious. But thinking like short ribs, or I love a hamburger on a keto bun. Like I make my own keto bread and I mean, I'm notorious for having a hamburger every day, keto bun, and a good old steak, some chicken thighs, something like that. Gosh, the list goes on. That easy dairy-free cookbook, my favorite is the sesame chicken. That tastes better than any takeout that I've ever had in my life. Gosh, there's so many good things. Like you said, with your books, there's so many things that you don't feel deprived whatsoever.
So what's in your keto bun?
I actually whip egg whites until they're really, really stiff. Most people under whip them. And then I add a little bit of egg white protein, and it's so weird, but you bake those up and people are like, it's like Wonder Bread.
Oh, get out. Oh, that sounds cool. Okay. Yeah. I'll try that.
The trick is you want to make sure that you hit your protein goal. And that's why my husband's this like super awesome techie. He created a keto calculator, which is free for you to figure it out. If you go to mariamindbodyhealth.com and type in the search, type in keto calculator, and you can type in your lean body mass, and you type in what your goals are. If you're an athlete, whether it be an extreme athlete, moderate, or sedentary, if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, all of those things come into a factor. He figures out your personal macros. So how many calories you should aim for, your carbohydrates, the goal for that, the protein that you want to hit, and then your fat macros. So you can take the guesswork out of this, and we figure it out for you.
Neat. So that's at Maria Mind Body Health to check that out with the keto calculator. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So let's kind of dig into your new cookbook here, the easy dairy-free ketogenic recipe. Yeah. So you've got some slow cooker options. Anything that's coming up there? You talked about the short ribs, but
yes, I love I love to go and ride my bike or play with my kids or whatever it is. So I love to, I have a great mom. However, she didn't plan dinners very well. And so even at the young age of 5, I remember coming home from kindergarten and she would be like, I don't know what we're having for dinner. And she'd be in a panic. And so we all learned from our parents, right? So I help, my kids are 7 and 8. And while they're cleaning up dinner, I prepare dinner for the next night. So I like to fill the shell of my slow cooker with one of those recipes. And then I put the shell in the fridge. And then all I have to do when I wake up is take it out and turn it on. I have 3 slow cookers that I fill. And, so we'll have a main dish, a side dish, and a dessert in them. But
so organized.
Yeah. But I would say whether it be like the barbecue ribs, those are probably my absolute favorite one.
And so what do you use for the sauce on that then? Just to kind of get a little
like a tomato sauce. Gosh, I do a little bit of the stevia glycerite to sweeten them up. I can't remember exactly offhand. I have so many cookbooks out there. I'm so sorry. Here I am sitting and I don't have a book in front of me. I'm so sorry.
No problem. And what about, so I saw in your new book, you've got some keto convenience foods, because some people are like, oh my goodness, maybe, it's maybe even too much to do the slow cooker kind of thing, even though, it is fairly easy. But you still need to shop and prepare ahead. So what are some those keto?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm traveling a lot this year. And so what we did, my husband and I wrote Keto together, and we did meal plans of no cook things of what I would actually do when I'm traveling. And, even I've stopped, not that they're the best quality eggs, but at gas stations, you can even get hard-boiled eggs. So if you don't like to hard-boil your own eggs, you can, get those. However, I get mine from the neighbor, but I don't judge. It's all a process wherever you are making little goals. But oh my gosh, they make pasture-raised pork rinds now. So you could do pork rinds with salsa, tuna in the packet. Even better would get the salmon in the packet. I mean, you can do all of that type of stuff. It's easy to stop at a deli and get a rotisserie chicken. Just make sure that they don't use any MSG or sugar. So it depends on where you get it. But again, baby steps are great to do. But there's a ton of ideas in that book, and the whole meal plan's based off that.
Awesome. Yeah, those are some good ideas. So
thanks.
The salmon and the pork rinds. Yeah, that's great. And so what about the you have some 6-minute meal ideas? Any of your favorites sticking out in there?
I'm so sorry. I don't have the book in front of me. I actually gave it away to someone that I met, that it was her birthday, and I thought, here's a good birthday present for you. But my children love smoked salmon, and so we'll even take slices of an avocado and roll the salmon, the smoked salmon, or gravlax, you maybe call it, around the slices of avocado. You could even throw a piece of cucumber in there to make it a little bit of a sushi roll type thing. But that, like I mentioned, the sesame chicken, that comes together in 10 minutes. It's really, really easy. My keto rice, it's not cauliflower. It's actually made with eggs, but you whisk, it's kind of like scrambled eggs, but you add some coconut milk, a little bit of bone broth in there, some seasonings, and you whisk that so you get little pieces of rice, and it's much more flavorful. It almost tastes like a fried rice, really delicious underneath that sesame chicken. But a lot of these things take way less time than making rice.
That's true. Yeah, rice is 15 minutes,
and pasta. Pasta, you can really make that really, really quickly. My kids love my skillet spaghetti. That comes together in no time. They would have that every day if I, made it. Or my sloppy joes, people absolutely love those. And these are things that when I do stuff, I always make extra, and then I can freeze it. And, because when I'm hungry, and I often have a very short break. And so, I'm a busy mom. We homeschool our kids. I'm traveling all the time. I always find leftovers delicious.
I love
So yeah, and I even worked with somebody reached out. He was a chef. He reached out and he makes keto frozen organic meals based off of my dairy-free keto, the 30-day ketogenic cleanse, and my dairy-free book. So he will ship those wherever, and he does free overnight shipping. If you go to my site, I have that on there too. But they are Maria approved. They have a big Maria approved stamp on them. But so if you don't want to cook, he will mail the meals to you, and they're cheaper than going out to eat.
Awesome. So they just go to Maria Mind Body Health, and then there's a little thing in there where they can order the meals if they want. Yeah, that's great.
Yep, absolutely.
So I was just looking, I've got your cookbook here. I was just looking here. So you've got some of the 6-minute meals. There's a cherry almond breakfast shake.
Oh yeah, my kids love that, and they just devour that.
Nice. And what's the other one here? Lemon minute muffins?
Oh yeah, yep. If you're okay with a microwave, you can do the minute muffins, which are a huge hit. People absolutely love that with a little lemon glaze on the top. Otherwise, you could use a toaster oven, which I am not a gadget person. However, my husband gifted me a toaster oven, and I think I use that almost every day. I would rather use that than heat up the whole house. Yeah, and it heats up in no time, and you could make those muffins in little mugs and just bake one as needed.
And then, yeah, you briefly touched on here about the dinner in 10. I think some of the ones you have in your cookbook here, there's chef salad, dinner in 10, the saucy barbecue wraps.
Yes.
Pan-fried fish with tartar sauce. That sounds good.
That is delicious. I'm not even a fish person, but I really like that one.
Yeah, I love fish. Asian style salmon lettuce cups. Oh yeah, lettuce cups. Those are, I love. Yeah, it's kind of like that the tacos too, where you.
Right. I mean, you could always go to the trouble of making one of my like keto tortillas or the keto bread, but if you don't have that option, you're kind of new. Lettuce cups are always delicious. It's the meat that tastes delicious in them.
That's right. That's right. And so we talked about your dessert, so the ice cream, and you say one of your things you like to have people have is the ice cream maker, which I have one of those as well. The one that you put in the, I guess you put the base in the freezer, right? So
yeah, yep. I got mine from Cuisinart back when we were married, like 20 years ago, and mine broke because of overuse. It was totally my fault. The motor broke, but I contacted Cuisinart and they sent me a new one for free. And I didn't even say that I was, a food blogger or anything, but I was like, you are awesome. And nothing tastes better than fresh churned ice cream. And I used to eat Haagen-Dazs and bad stuff.
Yeah, same here.
Fresh churned is delicious, even if it is dairy free.
And can you think of one recipe off the top of your head there that or if there's one you remember from the cookbook with the ice cream? I don't know if you can think of one.
I know that there's an ice cream in the 30-day ketogenic cleanse, but the easy dairy-free keto, I can't offhand remember if there is. But I have some on my blog too that are free.
Is it so are yours typically with coconut milk then, or what do you?
There's different ones that I've used. What happened was when my little guy was younger, he did not like eggs for breakfast. And I was like, dude, how am I going to get some protein into this little boy? Mm-hmm. And so I made this chocolate pudding for them. And you could do it without chocolate if you're trying to cut caffeine. But I put hard-boiled eggs, a can of coconut milk, and cinnamon and a little bit of sweetener into a blender. I know this sounds totally weird. And I never told anybody about this recipe. He devoured it, and then I tried it. It is delicious, especially the next day, because it doesn't taste like hard-boiled eggs, I promise you. But you know what you do? You freeze that either into popsicles or into like a smoothie or like a frozen ice, like ice cream. It is delicious.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So yeah, I know it sounds weird, but again, like I spend so much time in the kitchen just experimenting with things. It just eventually you hit and it works really well.
Yeah, there's nothing like homemade ice cream. I don't know for you, and I have a ice cream fascination as well. So
me too.
Yeah. So maybe if you could share, you probably got lots of success stories. If you could share one success story with us, typically like what more about fertility? If there's a PCOS person that you've worked with, lady that you've worked with, or anything you can think of that you may have
helped?
Yeah, you know, the ones that really come to mind, there was this woman who had alopecia along with fertility issues, and I met her actually in town, and she always wore a bandana. I didn't know why she didn't have any hair, cancer or what. Well, she came to my office and we talked, and finding out that it was alopecia. And she was a professor, and so I didn't see her all of the time at the gym. That's where I met her lifting weights. Well, we changed her diet, and she kind of went her own way. And 6 months later, I saw her at the gym, and she had her bandana on, and I was just like, "Hi, Kiki, how's it going?" and stuff. And I might cry here. She took her bandana off, and she had a full head of hair. She said she had her first haircut in 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
And she was pregnant. So that was just fantastic.
Oh, wow.
Like that, you know, as female, hair, a bad hair day really can affect you, you know, and just to think that what that meant to her, you know, was really cool.
Oh, that's amazing. Amazing. I know. That's why it's important to share this work, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so you have a number of, actually, just before we go into that, do you have any resources that you'd like to share with the audience? Obviously, besides your cookbooks, anything you can think of, like websites or apps or things that you just love or something that you're obsessed with right now?
You know, I guess I'm really, really excited. We launched a keto class. So if you want to take a class, we hired professional videographers, and you could take a class with, you know, cooking videos and instruction. It's all very professional, so it's you know, exciting to watch and fun. And that's at keto-adapted.com. You know, there's so many books out there as far as fertility. Dr. Kiltz, he's one of the best fertility doctors in the world, based out of New York. We are writing the fertility solution together, so watch for that coming on Amazon. So those are two really exciting projects.
Nice. Yeah. Dr. Kiltz. So Kiltz or
TZ.
Z.
Yep.
Z for the Canadians.
Yeah. Yep.
So the fertility solution coming out. Awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. And you've got a free offer here for the audience. So it's the Keto Adapted ebook. And they can go to keto, Keto-adapted, adapted.com/shop. And then in the show notes, we'll have a special code for you to get your free ebook. Anything?
Yeah, you would just add that to your cart, and then we'll give you the coupon code. And if you enter that when you check out, it will be $0. It will be free, totally.
Okay, awesome.
It's a little confusing, but it's easy once you get there.
Perfect. And then also you have a Facebook community called the 30-day Ketogenic Cleanse. So you've got over 60,000 people in there that are doing the ketogenic cleanse.
Yeah. So if you are scared to try, you know, dairy-free keto, that is a private group. You just have to click join. I'll approve you. But you know, we're all eating dairy-free keto. A lot of people are doing it with their family and posting pictures. It's really a really kind group of people that it's just so encouraging to find other people that are doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like-minded people. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your wisdom, and
thank you, Sarah. I feel so blessed to be asked.
Yes, thank you, and all the delicious recipes. So definitely check out the Easy Dairy-Free Ketogenic Recipe Cookbook, and have yourself a fabulous day. Hey there, Sarah Clark here. So, are you struggling to have your baby? First of all, please know that my heart goes out to you. I support couples worldwide who are struggling with infertility to conceive and have healthy babies. Women like Rita, who gave birth to her beautiful daughter after following my fertility coaching system. Or Danielle, who after 2 failed IUIs was able to get pregnant after a Supercharger fertility discovery call with me. So here's how you get my help for free. So I offer a free Supercharger fertility discovery call, and on that call, I'll create a plan with you that is going to help you fast track your success. So this call is not for everyone, and I'm really picky about who I get to speak with, and I have a strict but totally reasonable criteria that needs to be met in order for us to move forward. So here's who I can help. So first of all, you need to be able to explore your infertility diagnosis in a new light. So this offers for people who are open-minded, they're coachable, and if you can do that and want to double or triple your chances at the fertility clinic or get pregnant, awesome. So let's get on the phone and chat. Also, you must be an action taker. So someone who's committed to seeing results, you're able to follow directions. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to do anything bizarre. But if you're one of those people who like to consume a ton of information, but don't like to spend time implementing and seeing results, then the call's not really for you. So I only want to spend time with people who are genuinely committed to their own success. So just click on the link in the show notes and apply, or go to FabFertile, FABfertile.com, and click on the free consult. So it's a really short application that just tells me about your health, how long you've been trying to conceive, and how soon you'd like to be pregnant. So seriously, this is going to be the best time you've ever spent on your fertility. Looking forward to chatting. Talk soon. Thank you for listening to Get Pregnant Naturally. Seriously, it means the world to me that you're here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can be notified of upcoming episodes. I'm excited to offer you a special gift. If you are a U.S. resident, text FERTILE, FERTILE, to 345345. You'll be prompted to enter your email address and you will receive our 3-day free Fertility Diet Challenge. The challenge includes delicious chef-prepared recipes that are specifically designed to enhance your fertility. Download the recipes and try them this weekend. For U.S. residents, text FERTILE, FERTILE, to 345345. For non-U.S. residents, go to www.fertilitydietfreebie.com to access your special gift. That is Fertility Diet Freebie, FERTILITY, Diet, DIET, freebie, FREEBIE.com to access the 3-day free Fertility Diet Challenge. And I love this quote by Dr. Mark Hyman. He's the medical director of the Cleveland Clinic Center for Functional Medicine and the chairman of the Institute for Functional Medicine. What you find at the end of your fork is more powerful than anything you'll find at the bottom of a pill bottle. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.